what's going on? Thanks for joining us this week on the Niners News Update. We have a big win to celebrate this week. Big 31 to 10 upset victory over the Los Angeles Rams. Had to stop myself from saying St. Louis because it was that for a long time. But yeah, the Los Angeles Rams to make it five straight against the Rams and end what was a 393-day losing streak at home where we hadn't won at Levi's. Now, a lot of that was the fact that they didn't get to play a large portion of the end of last season at Levi's due to the COVID restrictions and everything like that, and also there was a lot of issues with the air quality up there, as you may
Oh,
remember from
I
the
didn't
fires.
realize that was part of it. I knew about the losing streak. I didn't think about the whole thing where they weren't playing at Levi's.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that they would have had more opportunities. They might have lost those games, but I think that they would have had more opportunities to get wins. At the end of last season, it was still Nick Mullins and CJ that started those last several games. I mean, there was talk about Jimmy might, come back, but he didn't end up coming back
I don't
again.
think anybody wants to remember when Nick Mullins was starting.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I was just more mentioning that was
I
that,
know,
that was
I
part of
know.
that when we were playing down in Arizona. So yeah, a lot of those games weren't even at Levi's. So, our technical home games were being played at, State Farm Stadium in Arizona because the Cardinals were gracious enough to let us use their stadium. So, yeah, we ended the losing streak of 393 days, which was awesome. Big win there. So that was huge. But before we get into talking about the game too much, just want to go into a couple of roster type moves here before we talk about the game and who stood out. But this week, San Francisco released veteran cornerback, 32-year-old veteran cornerback Dre Kirkpatrick, former Cincinnati Bengals starter, who had appeared in 6 games with us with one start. Um, Most recently, he appeared in a game with Arizona last week when we lost the 31-17 game, and he had made 7 tackles on the season. Did you watch the Arizona game? Did you see when he got trucked? He was the guy that kind of just got run over by James Conner in the hole.
Where they lost? No, I
Yeah,
didn't see it.
yeah,
Honestly, I didn't.
yeah.
But I remember seeing the score and was like, holy crap.
Yeah. He got run over pretty bad. It was pretty rough. So yeah, I don't know if that played a part in his getting cut, but he was definitely released after 6 games. Like I said, he had 7 tackles, no interceptions. So, he wasn't like making a huge contribution to the team. But what that meant was in the game against the Rams, which a lot of people have been calling for, our rookies, Diamador Lenore and Ambry Thomas, were both active for the first time in a couple games. Because they've been healthy, but they've been healthy scratches because we've been going with Emmanuel Mosley, Josh Norman, K'Wan Williams, and Dre Kirkpatrick. So we've been going with the veteran corners
Yeah.
and Dante Johnson as well. That's the 5 corners. But now with Kirkpatrick getting released, now that opens the door for Ambry Thomas and Diamador getting more opportunities. So that'll be good to see, because a lot of people have been saying, why not play the young guys, and develop them. So maybe we'll get to see more of that. But
Yeah, that's always good to see.
yeah,
I mean, you gotta get the rookies out there because I mean, those are the guys that are going to take over, or at least hopefully, assuming they do well.
yeah. So I don't think losing Kirkpatrick's going to be a huge loss for the secondary. I mean, we already have the. I know we were going to cover this in a little bit here, but the secondary that has the most defensive pass interference calls in the NFL. So that's an unfortunate stat to be leading in.
Yeah.
As far as some better news, got a release. That's always kind of unfortunate for Drake Kirkpatrick, but some good news is we have Dre Greenlaw and Jaquaski Tart returning to practice this week. Kyle has reported. So both of those guys have a chance of playing in the game um,
That would be great.
this Sunday
That would be awesome to see.
against Jacksonville. Yeah, Greenlaw hasn't played since the season opener against the Lions, and I don't know if you remember that, but he had the pick six on Jared Goff, and he's been dealing with a hamstring injury ever since. So he was expected to come back a little bit quicker. He had a little bit of a you know setback, but he's back now. Expected to maybe play this weekend. Aziz Al Shire has been really stepping up and playing well in his absence, along with Fred Warner. So Kyle has said that he might not just come in and start all the snaps right away because Aziz has been playing so well. And the same thing was said about Jaquaski Tart because each game it seems that Talanoa Hufanga started, he played better, especially that game against the Rams. He had a great
Yeah,
game.
he's done really
Yeah,
well. That was an extremely good pickup. Like he's
yeah,
had a very good season.
yeah. So Kyle said that he might not necessarily that Jaquiski will play if he's healthy, but he might not necessarily start, and that they both might play. So that could be an interesting possibility because Jaquiski Tart, when healthy, is also a good playmaker. And
Absolutely.
we just got Jimmy Ward back. Jimmy Ward coming off the best game of his career, where he picked off Matt Stafford twice in the first quarter alone. So that was excellent to see. I mean, Jimmy Ward came in with two career interceptions. Now, granted, he's a safety. He gets less opportunities at interceptions than maybe a corner would, but he had two interceptions in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's like just like Tom Brady having 2 interceptions in the first quarter.
Yeah. So overall, it was a really good effort from the offense and defense. We had a lot of key players that stood out. For one, Jimmy was 15 for 19 for 182 yards with two touchdown passes, which was he didn't have to throw a lot. It kind of reminded me of some of those games we had in 2019 where Jimmy's pass attempts were limited and we just dominated with the run. We ended up running the ball 44 times, which was a
Yeah,
season high.
that's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, and we ended up dominating the time of possession as a result of that. The Niners ended up having two drives in the first half. The first drive of the game for the Niners was an 11 or I'm sorry, an 18 play 93 yard drive that took 11 minutes and 3 seconds off the clock. So that pretty much like ended the first quarter. And then on the Rams' first drive, um, while targeting newly acquired acquisition Odell Beckham, um, it seemed like Odell just stopped running on his route, and before as we mentioned before, Jimmy Ward kind of just jumped up and grabbed that one and got his first of two interceptions. And yeah, it seemed like Odell just kind of quit on the day. His numbers weren't that good. He was targeted three times, caught two passes for 18 yards in his Rams debut, and played 15 out of 55 snaps. So he really didn't play that much. So I mean, a lot of that was the fact that he didn't learn, or
Yeah,
hasn't had.
he's got to be worked back in a bit. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, he's got to get
he's got to
acclimated to a new offense, new
exactly.
terminology and everything. But
So that seems about right. I
yeah,
mean, he
yeah,
played a good,
yeah.
a little more than a quarter of the snaps.
We
So I'm
probably we're
sure
fortunate to
next
catch
week
them
he'll,
at a good time.
yeah,
Didn't know much of the offense.
absolutely, maybe,
Also,
yeah. I mean, maybe probably wouldn't have made a huge difference. I mean, but still,
yeah, yeah, we'll see. Von Miller also, suited up for his first game with the Rams. Played about 40 snaps and had three tackles, no sacks. Aaron Donald also held without any sacks. In fact, the 49ers offensive line held up really well. We only gave up one sack on the entire game, so that's really good against a really good Rams pass rush. So that was really good to see. The game got started. A big thing coming in was going to be how we were going to replace McGlinchey at right tackle. And rookie Jalen Moore started the game. He played the entire 18 play first drive. And then after that, they rotated veteran Tom Compton in there, and he played the rest of the game. But both of them played pretty well. I mean, there was only one time where Jalen Smith kind of got beat on that first drive. where Aaron Donald got around him and tackled Elijah Mitchell in the backfield for like a loss of 2 or 3 yards. But other than that, both Jalen Moore and Tom Compton played a pretty good game. And like I said, only giving up one sack to a team like the Rams, who they've got Von Miller and Aaron Donald on the same defense.
Hey, you got to protect Jimmy, man, especially from those two guys. Ugh.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you don't want them getting anywhere near his ankles, man. Like, they need to stay
Fortunately, we only
away.
have the Rams one more time this season, and I'm holding out hope. I think we play them in the last game. I'm holding out hope that because at this point the Rams are probably going to make the playoffs regardless, right? So I'm hoping that they're in. If they're going to the playoffs in either way, they're in good enough position that in the last week of the season they just rest all their starters and we just get that easy win anyway. If we're fighting for a wild card, because McVay seems like the kind of guy that would rest starters in the last game of the season.
Hopefully, if it comes to
Yeah.
that,
But I mean,
absolutely.
even if that's the case, it doesn't really matter. We have McVay's number regardless of who's in there. I mean, whether it's Jared Goff, whether it's Matthew Stafford. I mean, five straight wins against the Rams. Kyle has definitely owned Sean McVay in the head to head, and
Absolutely.
Jimmy's 5-0 against the Rams. Like Jimmy's undefeated against the Rams as well. That's another thing worth mentioning. So, even though he's immobile, like something about him, he gets rid of the ball quick. He's got that quick release, and he only threw 19 times, but four incompletions, and he got the ball out quick.
He only had to throw 19 times,
Yeah,
man. I mean, the
the run
running
game
game
was
just,
working.
yeah. If that's work, that's like the best thing. If the run game's
Yeah,
working, you don't got to pass the ball.
yeah,
You don't got to take those risks. You
absolutely.
just keep running it,
And
which they
everybody always
did.
likes to talk about QBR as being the number. Jimmy had the best QBR he's had all season of 95.9 and a quarterback rating of 141.7. So Jimmy really had a great game with, I mean, limited opportunities, but like you said, the run game was working so well that he didn't have to throw. Now, um, I think a big part of that, and I wanted to address that, was something we haven't really been able to do. Elijah Mitchell's been doing a great job for us, by the way. Definitely happy to have him. He's got 560 yards, which is good for 10th in the NFL. He leads all rookies. So he's
Yeah,
playing
he's
great.
he's looked really good.
Yeah. But a lot of the weeks we've only had him, and maybe like some Jermichael Hasty sprinkled in there, maybe some Trey Sermon. But we finally get Jeff Wilson back, who could also be, like a starting like running back for us. And Elijah Mitchell had a career high in that game. Like I said, we ran 44 times. Elijah Mitchell got 27 carries for 91 yards. Jeff Wilson got 10 carries for 28 yards. So that's 37 of the 44 carries right there. And Debo got five. We lined up Debo in the backfield, and Debo got 5 carries in the backfield, including one rushing touchdown. So getting to see a little bit
I
more of
was
that.
I always love to see that. Like when they
Yeah,
put Terry in and they have him run the ball.
yeah.
Oh man.
Debo is just a phenomenal weapon wherever you put him. Like whether you put him on the outside, whether you put him in the slot, or whether you put him in the backfield, he can score touchdowns and just take the ball the distance. He's having a great season.
Yeah, Debo is an amazing player.
Yeah, between him and Terry, I mean the league's going to be in good shape with good young receivers for a while. I mean Debo's got 979 receiving yards already. I mean, basically he catches one pass against Jacksonville and he's going over the 1,000. I'd
Oh
imagine.
well, that's happening for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But like I was mentioning, we were able to rotate the backs, which was something we really didn't have before. So Elijah Mitchell was able to come in and kind of get spelled a little bit by Jeff Wilson for large portions of the day, and also Debo Samuel. So he wasn't carrying, the full load. Even though he got 27 carries, he wasn't running all those plays, because he was giving way to Jeff Wilson and Debo getting some carries. So
Right.
I think that'll be a good thing that we have moving forward. Now, unfortunately, one thing I did want to mention is in the game, Elijah Mitchell did fracture his finger, and he had surgery on Tuesday, and they were expecting him to be fine for the Jacksonville game. Kyle said he didn't expect him to miss any time, but he didn't practice again today on Friday, and now he's doubtful for the game on Sunday. So we might not have him. So kind of having that two-headed running back attack We had it for one game and we already may be without it again because
Oh
we're
man.
gonna. I mean, Jeff Wilson is healthy and he was looking good in his opportunities. If anything, we'll probably see more of Trey Sermon, who was looking good earlier in the season, and then maybe even some of Jermichael Hasty, but he's been dealing with an ankle thing. So, I mean, we have plenty of depth at running back. It's just gonna, I'd imagine,
Yeah, all the running backs this season I feel like have looked pretty solid. Like
yeah.
everyone who's been in and out, like they've all looked pretty good.
Kyle's system is very running back friendly. I mean, Kyle's like gotten by a long time with. They were talking about this a long time. Kyle's gotten by with late round draft picks. There was Arian Foster in Houston. There was obviously Alfred Morris in Washington, who was like a late sixth or seventh round guy. So these are guys that were drafted later in the round. Like Elijah Mitchell's a sixth round draft pick. Trey Sermon's the third round pick, and he's kind of just been playing special teams because I
Yeah.
like what Elijah Mitchell's been doing better. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to hopefully we can run the ball down Jacksonville's throat, and Jimmy has another great game. Jimmy's QBR has been off the chain, and he's had three really good games in a row. So looking forward to continuing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, he's getting back to that. Like I said, that 2019 form.
Yep. Hopefully all this good stuff goes into the coming weeks
Yeah,
with the Niners and with Washington after the big wins. It's like just keep it moving, keep it rolling, guys. Come on.
yeah, yeah.
Don't
Hopefully we can
stop.
keep the momentum going in the next game. We did get out of that game relatively healthy, which was a plus. That was definitely a blessing in
Yeah,
that
that's always a
situation.
huge plus.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention, as far as how the Niners scored was Jimmy hit one of his touchdowns to George Kittle for his second receiving touchdown of the season. Jimmy Ward's second interception of the season was returned on a bobble from Tyler Higbee. Kind of like it was almost similar to the William Jackson situation with Washington, where the ball was like bobbled out of his hands and like
Yeah, and
into
it popped back
Jimmy
up, and it's
Ward's
just like,
hands, and then returned for an interception. So before they even knew it, they were down 14 to nothing to the 49ers. The Rams were,
nice.
and then we would put together another good drive before the half, um, where Debo would score a rushing touchdown. Like I said, one of his five carries he took out of the backfield for a rushing touchdown, so his second rushing touchdown of the season. So he's proven to be dynamic out of the backfield as well to put them up 21-7. The Rams ended up passing up a field goal attempt right before the half, where Johnny Hecker tried a field goal attempt.
Yeah, what the hell was that? I remember seeing
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
the
yeah.
most ridiculous shit.
Yeah, he tried the fake field goal, and immediately Hufanga, like I said, Hufanga played a great game, and immediately on that play, Hufanga was in Hecker's face, so he had to get rid of it super quick. And then DJ Jones, our big defensive tackle, DJ Jones comes up and makes the tackle on backup tight end Kendall Blanton in the flat for a gain of two. So I mean, they could have gone in 21-10 at halftime there, which you're still down two scores, but at least that gives you a little bit of momentum going into the
Yeah,
half, and McVay giving up the points. And another thing that I just wanted to touch on real quick is we've been struggling. We're 30th in the league in third down. We've been struggling with it all season, but we started this game 5 for 5 in the first half, and this was another thing I wanted to mention. The Washington, like the Niners, neither one of us punted until the third quarter of the game. Tressway or Wishnowski didn't come out until the third quarter, so that's huge in the game. And by the end of the third
absolutely.
quarter, we were 8 out of 12 on third down. So a thing that we've been struggling with. We've been having turnovers all season, and we can't convert on third downs. We had no turnovers in this game, and we were 8 out of 12 on third down. So that's hugely
70.
successful.
That's 75%.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then there was a third down that we had. We'd been running the ball so well. Everybody thought we were probably just going to keep running the ball, but Jimmy hits Debo on a nice route across the middle which Debo breaks for 40 yards, and that put the Niners up 31-7 in the third quarter. So that really put it out of reach. I mean, the Rams ended up having 3 possessions in the third quarter, and they went 3 and out on each of their third quarter possessions. So they really didn't give themselves the chance to get back in the game.
Oh, I just realized that was 66%. It's 8 of 12.
Yeah, yeah,
Almost
it
75%,
was a really good game,
66%.
and I also wanted to
Still
kind of
good though.
shout out the defensive line. Defensive line's been playing their ass off. Um, especially without Javon Kinlaw, we've been without him. He only played in 4 games this season because he had to have knee surgery. But we've been having a lot of players step up, and it's not just Nick Bosa. Obviously, he has a league leading 8 sacks, so that's huge. He's going to be the one that gets all the recognition. But we've got a lot of depth signings that have been helping out as well, and guys that have been in the system for years that have been developing. Without Kinlaw, players like Arden Key have been stepping up. Contavious Street, who's been around for a long time but was hurt the first couple years, he's got 2 sacks for us. Kevin Givens has been playing well in Kinlaw's absence. Jordan Willis, who was a guy we acquired in a trade last year from the Jets. Charles Minahu, who we acquired at the trade deadline with Houston this year. So all these guys are kind of stepping up, and Arden Key got his second sack in that game. Nick Bosa picked up an eighth sack in 9 games. It's interesting to see how many sacks he's going to finish with. Hopefully, he gets upwards of 15. But he's got 8 already through 9 games, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, just wanted to go ahead and recognize that that defensive line playing well, and they put they made it uncomfortable for Stafford all game.
Yeah, I hope he gets to 15 plus sacks. If he's at 8 already and there's that many
Yeah,
games left, he could get to 15.
yeah, absolutely. Now, the Niners did get flagged for their unfortunate 15th defensive pass interference call of the year after not having any of the last 2 games. K'Wan Williams got called in the fourth quarter for one that gave the Rams an automatic first down. Although they didn't end up coming away with any points. It was interesting enough that with 6 minutes to go when they got down there, McVay would pass up a field goal. Obviously the game's out of reach anyway, but a field goal would have made it 31-10 with 6 minutes left. Instead they went for it, and Stafford overthrows the receiver in the end zone. Now the only reason I mention that is because they ended up getting another possession with and getting down there with about 4 minutes left, and then McVay does take the field goal. So it's like, why wouldn't you have just taken the field goal before, and then at least maybe you were still lost, but it would have been 31-13 because he would have
Yeah,
had those
that's that doesn't make any sense.
31-16 if they would have actually kicked the real field goal in the first half instead of trying that Hecker fake. But I mean,
Yeah,
they're losing either way.
terrible decision. What like what? Why? Why would you do that?
They're losing either way. But yeah, McVay definitely passing up some opportunities to kick field goals. And yeah, that 31-10 would end up being the final score. And with about 10:35 left in the fourth quarter, the Levi's fans, who have been starved for victory for 393 days, could be heard loudly on television chanting "Beat LA, beat LA." So that was awesome. That was great to see. I mean, they definitely deserve a home victory, and they got one. So on to Jacksonville, and then we've got Minnesota next. Quick breakdown on that, and then we'll get off of here for the day. Jacksonville has been a team that's been playing better. Their running back James Robinson has been looking pretty good. He's been dealing with a heel injury, so we're going to see if he's going to play. He's questionable. If he doesn't play, former 49ers running back Carlos Hyde is expected to get most of the carries. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence has been looking better, and the Jags overall have won 2 out of their last 3 games. Or actually, it's 2 out of their last 4. But they've definitely been more competitive. So definitely don't expect it to be an easy game. They do have a good defense, and
Should be
Trevor
a
Lawrence.
winnable game though. Should definitely be a winnable game.
It definitely should, but I'm not counting on it like being a blowout victory. I mean, I hope that they do. I mean, especially
Right.
if we control the line of scrimmage and run the ball like we did. But Jacksonville has an underrated defense, and like I said, I think that there will definitely be some plays where Trevor Lawrence shows why he was the number one overall pick. So we'll follow along. We can definitely win that game, and then we've got the Vikings next. So two winnable games. If we win both of them,
Definitely.
I mean we're 4-5 right now. We could conceivably be 6-5. The Niners are right outside. You know, we're like in the ninth position. There's 7 teams that go to the playoffs, and we're in that ninth position right now. So we're like jousting with teams like Minnesota, Carolina, teams like that are who we really need to. So that head to head with Minnesota is going to be huge. So follow along with us in the upcoming weeks, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully the Niners can keep that momentum going.
Definitely.
Hopefully Jimmy can keep playing well, and we can keep running the ball down everybody's throat. But you guys have a good night, and see you next time.
Have a good night, everybody.